Welcome. My name is Gary Rochlin. I live at 657 Los Lomas Avenue. And we also lost our home in the fires at the beginning of January. And the purpose of this presentation is to help our neighbors get through the permitting process. And part of that process is you're going to have renewable energy, or maybe not if you are building the same exact house with the same conditions. But generally speaking, any new home within the city of Los Angeles is going to have either solar and or batteries in their rebuilding process. What we're going to cover today is rebuilding. If you have a new home, an improved home, or the exact same home, up to 10%. Plus up to 10% more. Um, what are the requirements as it pertains to solar and batteries for each scenario? Some fact-based information to help you navigate the requirements. And then making sure that your solar and batteries will not hold up your planning and permitting. That'll be determined by your Title 24 report as well as your architect, as well as what you're specifying to be installed. But you will not get your permit without having a solar component to your plans. As mentioned before, the renewables are mandatory. Um, Title 24 is the energy requirements to get you to what they say would be a zero carbon footprint. It also has another name called CF-1R energy modeling. And all buildings in the state of California have to comply with this. The more energy efficient appliances, roof, windows, etc., the less solar you'll have to put on your home. Solar and batteries. If the solar can't cover it, then you'll have to put in some batteries. If your house is shaded, they will give you an exemption, but usually with the way things are right now, you're going to have to go through the total Title 24 requirements, and most likely you will have some solar. Um, the one thing about solar that we do uh, need you to think about would be number one is making sure it's aesthetically pleasing to the eye if you're looking at it. On our home, we did not have it on the front of our house, which is the west facing. We had it on the south, which is our best. So the best azimuths are going to be uh, south, east, west, and we try not to install it on the north side of the house. But if it's a flat roof, we can put some racking in there to face it south. Um, Again, part of the factors are going into the Title 24 report with lower long-term costs, factors in our windows, appliances, cool roof, HVAC, water heating, insulation, as well as your own energy personality as far as, do you leave the lights on? Do you leave them off, etc. Um, Going from there, we uh, the, the solar process for rebuilds. Uh, you're going to be working with your architect or energy consultant to complete a CFR energy modeling. Um, the more the energy efficiency, the higher the price of the units. On our home, we're going to basically be going with uh, electric heat pumps for our heat, as well as we'll probably be going with gas water heating, as well as a gas for our cooktop and our barbecue. You will not be able to um, use a wood burning fireplace anymore, but you can use a gas fireplace. Um, as mentioned, if you can't fit enough solar on your roof, you can make it up with batteries, and the smallest batteries right now are 5 kWh. If you want to go larger, There are some requirements in regards to that, but definitely if you're using batteries, you're going to want to back up, basically a backup load panel. And that backup load panel basically will be energized when when the batteries go out. If you only have solar and no batteries, and the power goes out during the day, you will not, those solar panels will not work. It needs the batteries at 60 hertz to be able to turn on. And what we're actually building, it's called a microgrid. And that microgrid um, can run in perpetuity if properly set up, meaning during an outage, your solar should be able to power your house during the day. And then at night, you can use your batteries, and then in the morning, it should be able to charge your batteries and also run the house. Your house will be the priority, but if you are lowering your usage, then the remaining portion of that will charge the batteries. We've done this on anywhere from, we do it from residential all the way to commercial at this stage. And we just brought on a fairly large microgrid out in Sylmar. Um, Using batteries will basically reduce the required solar system. And even if you're not ready to install batteries, and even if we are going to be installing a gas range, we are still going to have to pre-wire as if we are going with all electric. So if they want to change this over later, or that it's mandated, then we will basically have to pre-wire for it. So that's just part of the process. Um, LADBS requirements. LADBS requirements on a set of solar or renewable plans are going to be a roof layout showing panel placement, electrical single line diagrams, product specific sheets, meaning what are we installing, and battery pre-wiring details, including in that would be a load calc based off of your backup sub panel. And as far as how we're going to wiring it, where your disconnects are going to go, the electrical as well. So we're going to fall into the purview of electrical and fire. So fire department's going to review all your plans for clearances and as well as where they can be placed outside. It's really important that the solar being coordinated early in the design process. So you're not going to get, otherwise you're not going to get your plans permitted. You're going to have to rush and it's going to be stressful, et cetera. The other thing that you want to be concerned about now that we're into permits and stuff would be coordination with the other subcontractors. So usually if we're working with an electrician, we're a B1 general contractor, C46 and a C10. Um, C46 is solar and C10 is electrical, so we're all three. Um, but you definitely, if we're up as well as if we're pegging the roof, we want the roofer to roof it in for us or to weave it in because you want that warranty, and so do I, to go with the roofer. If we're working with the electrician, we will provide the sub panel, but we want the electrician to land his loads on there if they're being backed up. Because if there's a problem electrically, you're going to one sub to fix it. The same is going to go with framing. So as the house is coming up, we're pre-wiring. It also looks much better if it's in the walls. Also, battery placement also needs to be carefully calced out because there are fire department regulations regarding, how close it can be to a window, to wood, to an overhang, et cetera. So all of that should be planned out. It's much better if it's done beforehand. Otherwise, we're going to be running surface conduit. Um, where homeowners get stuck. Uh, as of today, no centralized, reliable resource for anyone rebuilding in a fire zone. I know right now, just basically what we've been going through for the past 3 months, just we uh we did not go with the Army Corps because they said they wouldn't get to us till the end because we're on a down facing slope. And so we self removed everything, the debris. And getting through that, we finally got our final last week. And just really, there really wasn't any centralized area or knowledge base that we could use. Currently, requirements may change as the process evolves. We're seeing that all the time with solar. Um, and one of the biggest things recently has been grounding. We definitely need to be grounded into your cold water main, as well as two UFers. No clear guidelines on battery pre-wiring. Well, that's the truth. I mean, there's a lot of disinformation out there, but the pre-wiring for batteries, what we like to do is leave an escape conduit. So if you want to migrate a load later, you can. But again, the batteries that we're using, primarily Enphase and Tesla residential, are 200 amps. That's all we can really back up unless you want to go with two systems. We can go larger with a solar system, but that's getting much into the weeds. As we can see today with the current political environment, currently they've extended the 30% to the end of the year, which means we are not going to be able to take advantage of that. But it has to go through the House for approval tomorrow. There might be some reprieve on that. For the batteries right now currently have an SGIP rebate. It's anywhere from $700 to $1,700, and it's an ebb and flow. When they come available, then people grab them. So if you're going into plan check and you have your plans, you can reserve those rebates upon submittal. There's a lot of, let's just say, non-specialists out there giving incorrect information, or they just haven't been in the business long enough. Beware of that. Again, as mentioned before, um, yeah, you just want someone who's knowledgeable and knows what they're doing and has done this a lot. And then these things must be addressed in the planning stage. And prior to going in, I mean, you can change your plans after they've been submitted, but it's always better at least to get a head start. A little trick, which we like to do is make sure that all the plumbers and the HVAC guy get their vents out to the 3 feet from the building's edge, so that way they're not going to be in the middle of your solar arrays. You can also use an O'Hagan vent, which is a flat vent. They work great, and you can actually put your solar panels over that. So we're here. We're your neighbor. I know we're in the neighborhood. My goal is to help you get out of the ground as quickly as possible. If we can help you with your plans or whatever it may be, you don't have to use us. You can go to another contractor. It makes no difference. But I think it's definitely part of me wanting to give back as far as we can help you and whatever we can do. I do have an extensive building background as well. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to. If you want to run things by me, I'm here. Um, Currently, the main thing is you can play with your Title 24 by recalking it. You can also, if you don't want to put batteries in, you can add more solar. So there's many ways to mix and match this. You can also put a higher R rating on your insulation. You can we're going to go with triple pane windows primarily to block the noise. So there's a lot of things that you can do to lessen the effect. There is also an exemption. If you have the same exact house that you've built and you're going to replace that same exact house, you may be able to get an exemption for not installing the renewables. So just keep that in mind as well, depending on what your plans are. We're currently working with multiple homeowners in the Palisades right now on their solar and battery plans. Um, it's amazing. I mean, I've seen houses already being framed. It's incredible, actually. Um, but maybe the expedited process works. I guess we'll find out in a few weeks. You can alter your roof layouts depending on your California framing in order to fit more solar panels. If you choose to go with also some solar thermal, which we had for our domestic hot water, it works great. We had what was it called? Uh, what, Sun Earth system, and it was basically a passive system, and it was installed before our hot water heater, so it was a preheat, and it's fantastic. I think as far as plan costs, the cost that you're going to find out there is anywhere between 750 and $1,000. Possibly you can get somewhere for 500, but the main thing is just making sure that it goes through quickly. Batteries are make it a lot more complicated, but there are ways of simplifying it as well. And you can also change things after. The main thing right now is if you are driving to be able to build, to break ground, to get your foundations in before it starts to rain, it can be changed later. And it's not too much of a problem for us to redraw and along those lines. Um, the the turnaround on plans, we can do a quick set pretty quick, probably within a week but we're starting to load up right now. So it just depends if you choose, who you choose to go with and along those lines. We can also review plans for you as well. And if you choose to go with us, we will apply the fee, to your project at a later time. Who are we? I've lived in gosh, I moved in 82 and rebuilt the house. I raised my kids here. Uh, they all three went to Pali. I went to Pali as well. Again, we lost our home while on our honeymoon. We were in Costa Rica when the house went down. We were watching. I was getting red flag alerts on the 7th, and I was going, it's a little strange um, anyway, for January. We do lots of commercial. We just finished one of the first commercial microgrades. We did the City of Santa Monica City Hall, the new Living Building Challenge one. And, we've been doing it for a while. I've been in solar for 15 years, and I've been in building for about 40. And we're your neighbors. I think we're going to open this up for Q&A now. Oh, what else? Sorry. Uh, I think right now, I gotta finish this up. Rising energy costs make renewables a smart decision. The 30% tax credits, I don't know. Anyway, so you can go to our website. We'll download this. We also have a sample of a Title 24 report. And you need to address the solar and battery. Do we have like a sample of the Title 24 we can bring up? Okay, sorry. Um, so you can, address the solar and battery now just to avoid the headache later and the stress. It's already stressful enough. If you need to talk to me, I have a Calendly link specifically for Blue Sky, and usually in the afternoons I'm available, and you can share this presentation. There we go.
Okay, so thank you, everybody. Sorry that I did not really plan for this great theatric little thing here, but it is what it is. So we are going to open it for questions now. And what I will be doing is I am going to see that I can find you if you asked a question. And Robert, I'm going to put you up. I'm going to promote you to panelist, so you can go ahead and take yourself off mute and ask a question.
Hi.
Hi,
Hello.
Robert. How are
Hi
you?
there. Thank you, first of all, very, very much for doing this on behalf of our local community. Um, we are right around the corner from you. I guess my wife, Joan Van Horn, knows you
I know. Yes.
from way back. She's been in the house about as long as you have, I think.
Yes.
So we're on the corner of Palmera and Northfield. We're rebuilding. We're moving reasonably fast. We have plans that are completed. We're doing a custom prefab. We're working with a lot of engineers. As a result, there's a lot of additional work that has to be done in advance. And solar is obviously one of the critical things we're going to want to address. So I don't know, I guess I have a lot of questions, but is there a brand of panels that you lean towards and I don't know the best way to engage with you, or maybe this probably calls for a whole separate conversation.
No, I can answer that question. I mean, there's been a lot of turmoil in the panel manufacturing business. I think a lot for the tariffs. The first thing we're doing right now is, SunPower used to be the king, and then they went bankrupt. So we're only installing panels from companies that are economically viable. And so right now we've been using a lot of Q cells, Maxium, but then they got stopped at the border because of some parts they were manufactured in Mexico. We're using REC, and it also depends sometimes on the geometry to fit the required panels on the roof. Um, so the biggest issue for us right now is financial stability, as well as the performance of the panels. Our efficiency rates are going way up, which is great, but again, we're seeing, our price swings are crazy right now. So Maxim's opening up a line here so they can sell, and they were probably the highest efficiency panel in the market. And so we had a
Maxi,
bunch of the Maxim, yeah. It was SunPower's manufacturing arm that they sold off. They spun it off.
I see. Okay. And
But
then,
the Q cells, the RECs, they're all good. They're we
right,
are, but
so,
again, we are looking at balance.
right. And so you do everything like from beginning to end, basically, when it comes to solar is,
Yes.
is okay. So I
Right. We don't
imagine,
do solar thermal, but we do refer firms that are quite good. We won't refer anyone, but anything to do with water, we don't deal with. And so we could, but it's just not our expertise. And so, but I think it's a great technology. It's easy. The Romans heated their wires, their water with it, so it clearly works.
yeah. And do you find flat, we have more of it's sort of going to be a contemporary version of a mid-century modern, where it's more of a flat roof. Does that work favorably, do you, in general, or it's hard to say, I mean, in terms of panels and exposure?
We can just we tilt them. We use tilt kits. I mean, the main thing is to be able to make sure, look, if the solar goes out, we can fix it pretty quick. But if the roof leaks, we're the devil. So the main thing is making sure that we are roofed in properly and waterproof. But if you're flat, we can build a little rack, a tilt rack, and we'll figure it out in the spacing so that we're not going to be shading it. And obviously, we want to be facing pretty much more to the south, where your house is. I know you have some shading, going to be to the east, and in the west, you're a little more open. So all of that comes into play.
Hmm.
Who's manufacturing your prefab?
They're called plant prefab.
Oh, cool.
Do you
Yeah.
know them?
No, I don't. I know Living Homes. That was
Yes, it's the same founder.
okay.
Steve Glenn.
Yeah, I know Steve from Idea
Yeah.
Labs.
So
Yeah.
he I think he folded Living Homes into what became Planned Prefab. He's just on the other side of the grapevine. He's got about a 250,000 square foot factory up there. It's very impressive.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
He's a good cyclist as well. At least he used to
Okay.
be. But he got into apartments for a while, but I digress, so he was building more, apartment modular stuff and then shifted back.
Right. But
He knows what he's doing.
so he'll do custom or modular or a
Right.
combination, whatever's going
Right.
to be
Yeah,
most.
yeah, he was doing a copy design for a while.
Yeah. So,
Okay, shall
yeah.
we move on to the next question? Thank you so much, Robert.
Thank you.
Um,
Okay,
we
cool.
had a question from uh, Millard, and he is asking, can you speak to the status of bidirectional charging for EVs?
Sure. Great. I love it, but not allowed in LADWP at this point in time. Um, so, you look at the Ford 150, the trucks, and you got what, 80 kWh, 100 kWh, and it could definitely power your home. But LADWP adamantly is not allowing it at this point in time. But it's a great technology.
Thank you for that. Yuri is asking, will gas be permitted for a new house that is greater than 110%?
My initial answer would be no. But again, there's a lot of stuff going on right now regarding the existing footprints of homes. I know of one right now that, again, he got grandfathered in. It's clearly a bigger home, but because of the speed of things going right now, he was able to get it. So, um, from what I'm understanding, if you're staying within that same footprint or 10% larger, then you're allowed to do the gas. Otherwise, you need to go all electric. And even if you do go gas, you still need to wire for all electric, which is kind of interesting. So that's the way I understand it. There's a lot of other interpretations on that.
Thank you. Wakana is asking, we are planning to install a sprinkler system on the roof. Would there be a conflict with installing solar panels?
No, no. It's a very good point, though. I mean, because most likely they're going to do it on the ridge. But as you're building, it's kind of a non sequitur to that. So they're going to put it on the ridge and they're going to try and get it so that it will encompass your whole roof. But as you're building, um, we need a 3 foot clearance. Like if we have it on one side of your roof at your apex, we're going to need 18 inches. And on the sides, we usually are going to need 3 feet. That's where you want to have your plumber put your vents so that you don't have to, put them underneath your panels. If you have to have a vent underneath your panel, you can use a flat vent called an O'Hagan, and you can actually run your solar panels over that. So just make sure your GC, if they can, on your roof, keep those the plumbing vents and the fan vents to the sides if possible or away from the solar because again what we are regardless of whether it is on where it is on the house, we still like to do it aesthetically pleasing if we can with rectangles and squares or at least some sort of a geometric shape without having to break it up.
The follow-up question from Robert on this. So even if you are within 110%, you have to wire for all electric. What do people use for outdoor barbecues?
It's a good question because I'm gonna we're gonna stay within that, and clearly I've always I would like to put natural gas in for my barbecue. I think you're allowed to go to gas. You just can't go to we're gonna do heat pumps and so that our heating is going to be via electric, but gas, water heater, and gas. Um, as well as a gas cooktop. But we're going to reduce it as much as we can. On the water heater, it will have a preheat with solar thermal, which really works well. But I'd like to have the additional water there if things go to hell in a handbasket.
Thank you. Michael has a question. He is asking, our new home will be Spanish with a tile roof. We also have a very large retaining wall at the back of the property facing a canyon. Can solar panels be installed on a retaining wall?
Yes, yes, they can. And we just built a framework, and there's a company called Lumos, which is an architectural type of panel where basically you won't see any wires. It's more expensive, but they're also bifacial, so they're clear. You can see through them. Actually, in the presentation, we did Huggy Bellsberg's office up on his on Main Street, and those have those panels. They're beautiful, and you don't see any electrical. The mullions are, the electric goes inside those. They do need a string inverter, but we're going to be doing it on the back of our house with about 4 panels. So.
Thank you. Evan has a question. Solar hot water has worked for me for a long time. Would you marry it with a normal tank and a tankless water heater?
Yes. Yeah, I mean the Sun Earth actually will hold 40 gallons up on your roof. And then, so you need to engineer it because it does have some weight to it. And then what we did is we routed the cold water through that first as a preheat, and then it went into uh, the tank. And and now, our water heaters are now like thermoses. They definitely keep the water hot much longer, and it worked great. Worked really well. With a Sun Earth copper heart is what we use.
I think that is, I just did a last call for all questions. Daniel is asking, what are the solar panels Gary recommends for installation on a retaining wall? I think we just had that. It was, he also
Yeah,
plans
I
to
mean,
install it on the deck.
yeah, but you can do it. You can do. I like the Lumos. They are a lot more expensive, mainly because again they look well and on my own where it's going to be exposed and we're under. I don't want to see the electrical, and I get to play with it anyway. But you can use any of them. I mean, the main thing is the frame that's holding it in place. But they create great shade. I like the bifacials because it's more architectural. We have done some projects with BIPV, where you can actually put the solar in your windows. It's more of a commercial application. Um, and but they don't produce as much, but the Lumos panels actually do produce a lot of power. And if you want to see it, there's a picture within this the slide deck that shows the Hoggy Bellsburg one down on Main Street, 2740 Main, if you look up.
Thank you. There is also a question again from Robert saying that the weather tends to be cloudy in the morning. What is the efficiency of the panels, and does, the June gloom and the fog and marine layer affect the efficiency of the panels?
It's going to work. I mean, they'll work. They may not be as robust as pure sun, but any bit of sunlight's going to let them work, and you'll be able to see it also in your in all of these in the Tesla app or in the Enphase app or whatever it may be. You can actually see what's going on. The other thing that really helps is cleaning them. I mean, we washed ours about every quarter. And on some of the commercial ones that we're seeing that we have out by freeways, we'll get a 10% jump. And specifically the one at the Santa Monica City Hall, I mean, that's huge, mainly because we got the freeway there, and then we also have the ocean air. And when we clean it, we'll get a 6 to 7% bump in production.
Thank you. Do you prefer an electric water tank versus multiple tankless electric ones, which is more expensive and not as effective?
What do I prefer? I think you can get away with one, but again, it's not really my area of expertise. Um, I kind of, all I can go off of is what I installed, and I was happy with it. I'm sure I'll be diving into it a lot deeper coming up. So, it's been a
Excellent.
while.
And here's the question you've been waiting for. What's it cost?
Right now we're seeing stuff on a larger system down to $3.50. Uh, Specifically on residential, it's a lot more work, a lot more planning. Commercial, we're down to about $1.25, $1.50, depending on the size of the system, per watt. Generally, our cost, just the Tesla equipment alone, just to install it, is, on the batteries, probably just for the base system, about 11 grand. And then there's just a lot of planning and a lot of electrical. The one thing about batteries, solar is you can be a C46. The minute we get into batteries, it is electrical. You got to be very careful. And when we get into the higher power, it's downright dangerous. Definitely our workers can be snuffed out pretty quick. So batteries is clearly electrical work, no question. And you have to be a C10 in order to install them.
Okay, so I have one question for you. So
Sure.
now, what are you expecting the fluctuation in fees to be for panels and batteries because of this current fluctuation in supply chain in production?
What day is it? Maybe different on Friday. We have just seen a 25% increase in aluminum racking. That just went into effect 2 days ago. What we're doing now is, yeah, it's crazy. So we just we went for Maxium because they were held up at the border. We pre-bought probably I don't know, close to $400,000 worth of them. And then we went out, switched over to an REC, and then the REC line started burning. Uh, so so they lost the 460 line. And then again, what's happening is we're pre-buying. So the fluctuation, I think right now, probably anywhere from 10 to 20%. That's what we're seeing generally. During COVID, we saw copper go up 150%. We saw steel go up 150%. And then we saw wood came down, copper has remained fairly high, and steel fluctuates. So right now, they're definitely trying to move it domestically again, but I don't know. I don't know if it's going to work, and I don't know when it's going to come online. So it's tough.
So your recommendation is if someone has the capacity, buy the panels now.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, that's what we're doing. I mean, we just don't know. With the Maxim 435s, great panel, was a great deal. We ended up purchasing a whole boatload of those, mainly because the supply was being stopped. REC, you know, yeah, if you can store them, I would. I don't think we're going to get that much of a bump by the time we come online. I mean, we're looking to hopefully, again, maybe a pipe dream. Hopefully going to have Thanksgiving at the house a year from now. So that's my plan, but I don't know. Haven't really started building yet, except excavating. That's all we've done so far.
There was a comment about the gas mandate that Chris thought that LA City rescinded the all-electric mandate because somebody sued the city of Berkeley and won to use natural gas in a new home regardless of the 110%.
I don't know. Um, yeah, I think, what I'm more curious about, I mean, I just don't know which way the wind's going to blow on this stuff. There's been a lot of disinformation, a lot of price gouging that we've seen. Um, I'd like to know what LADWP is going to do with our main service coming in. Are they going to put it underground or not? I think they're talking either tonight or tomorrow night, kind of letting get the cat out of the bag. I know we're on I guess the north side of Las Lomas. So we have that 8 foot easement in the back, at least. So I'm not sure how they would even do it because it's right next to the sewer line down there. So does anyone know anything about that at this stage? What they're planning on doing?
While we wait for this answer to see if anybody has some insights on that, do you have any preference for batteries? Tesla, anyone?
I like Tesla and I like Enphase and I like Solar. Those are the three main ones that we've been installing. Um, I've never, we haven't really installed too much of the Solar Edge or basically the LG batteries. But LG, Tesla, and Panasonic are all working together as far as for their batteries, what's going in them. Um, there's some other batteries out there, Simplify, which is lithium ion ferrous. It does not have a flash point. It doesn't flash. It's more expensive. And then we're doing in just some commercial work, small commercial, we're using Solarc. And then in larger commercial, we're using Tesla power packs or mega packs. It works. Pretty amazing. And what's pretty cool about it is we're seeing AI where it's now learning the building and its pattern, and it will actually pay back on the one we're doing right now is 3 years. $100 million project.
Do you expect that future parts will be a problem with the factories and the manufacturing moving back and forth consistency?
No, I don't see it being too much, mainly because we're working with a kind of a dumb silicon. Um, and we can get parts. The main thing, as mentioned, I think the biggest. So no, I'm not, and I think on the racking we can fabricate stuff. Um, um, No, it doesn't really concern me too much. And I think also with what we have right now, there's starting to get a robust used market out there that people are stockpiling stuff. So if you need a panel or you need something, you can usually find it right now. And eBay is a good source for that. But we are starting to see the initial installs, like on our own in my own home, where the panels were starting to get deficient as compared to when we first installed them. And the cost fell so much that it was definitely worth replacing it. So, we went from I think we went from a 215 to a 415 panel, so almost double. In the same square footage.
Yeah, so Robert says there was somebody at the corner taking pictures for the city to bury the line.
Wow, that would be great. Yeah, I think the pricing that we heard are about $14 million a mile. So it's expensive.
Excellent. All right. So you see I'm a real person. Hi. So I've been in the background giving Gary the screen and everything. So I'm the tech part of the relationship. So I will be taking the recording, and we created a website at blueskyenergy.solar/Palisades for our neighbors. And as resources become available, we will be adding resources. We are creating a checklist with the items that you need to go through in order to make things work. We will put a sample Title 24 report up so you can see what that looks like. And there is a link if you want to speak to Gary to talk about on whether or not he is the right person to take care of your solar. As we had said, and we discussed this uh, tremendously. The goal really here is to give you the information first. And if there is, and if you want him to be the solar provider, by all means, he's open to that. But this is really primarily for information sharing. And the most important thing is to get the permits in and these plans ready. So that would be the most important consideration and decision in my now almost expert opinion, because I've been dealing with this for so much with him to do. So we are here for you. We really are your neighbors, and we are experiencing the same emotions that you are. We are heartbroken every time we go there. We are sad that nobody's pushing any strollers, nobody's walking the dogs. No dogs are coming up and saying hello to us. And we will do what we can to get our community back as quickly as possible. So hold on one second. There's one more thing here. Yuri, hold on. Robert, you have one more thing. So why don't I take you back up so you can share what you had just put in the chat.
Hi.
There we go.
Oh, there you
Okay.
go.
Yeah. So just briefly, yeah, we go to the property once a week just to keep an eye on what's going on. And Saturday, just this past Saturday, there was a worker from the city taking pictures right at our corner. So I asked him what he was doing. And he explained, even though he was a lower echelon worker, he did seem to know that the city apparently is funded to some extent, apparently, for a certain extent of underground wiring, but also having to do with our sidewalks, improving the sidewalks, and just improving the streets, the sidewalks, the wiring. And he seemed to think it was already funded, or he wouldn't have even been out there taking pictures. So that's pretty much the short version, but it sounded
That's
optimistic.
great. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So make sure you say hello, John.
I definitely will, and she's not here, or likewise. So, and we hopefully we'll see you soon. We're hoping to be there a year from this month.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, we can't wait for the housewarming parties.
Yeah.
Gary, do you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you take a look at the Title 24, we have redlined as far as where you can actually find because it's, in some cases a 20-page document where you can find the renewable requirements that you're going to have. It's also going to go through all the other stuff that we mentioned, your HVAC, whatever you're going to be putting in there, basically to come up with these calculations. But it's usually on page 4, anywhere from 2 to 5, when you find out, the sizing of the system you're going to need. Other than that, uh, I would say I'm here for you guys. Whatever I can do to help, it'd be my pleasure. So, love the neighborhood, been there a long time, and can't wait to see it, start to be rebuilt.
All right. And with that, we say goodbye. Thank you, everybody.